You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're talking about giving thanks on Thanksgiving. So, Lauren.
Yes, Kenzie.
Let's get scary. You wanted me to wing it. You said wing it.
I did, and I didn't know how it was going to go, but now we know.
Now we know. I'm sorry. I'm so hungover.
Well, people are going to hear you hungover 2 episodes in a row.
I was hungover last time we recorded, too.
3 episodes in a row. Well, because
I'll probably be still drunk next episode.
Thanksgiving, Mackenzie's birthday episode is going to come out closer to Thanksgiving than her birthday, and this one is coming out closer to
my birthday.
Her birthday than Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But Mackenzie wants me to tell her the special story on her birthday. So we're recording on her birthday for her birthday episode.
Correct. And I will be, and Lauren, if she does it right, will also be really hungover.
And so we'll be hungover talking about such sad things.
Yeah, you mostly talking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could even sit on my bed.
Oh, we've never done that before.
I know.
That could be really comfy.
That could be so comfy.
Just like us laying down.
I would love that.
Just you laying there, eyes closed, listening to the story.
I would fall asleep.
Have we talked about what story I'm covering yet?
No, because...
Oh, perfect. So we're just going to keep it as a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's the story that Lauren would have covered during October if life didn't say fuck you.
Right. But it did, so we never got to it.
Right. So then I was like, happy birthday to me, since I was the one who picked what she was going to talk about.
Yeah.
Or is going to talk about.
Yeah.
So now that's coming for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So that I didn't have to do anything.
You can just lay there.
And I can just lay there.
So do you have any fun Thanksgiving plans?
I'm just going to my aunt's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We are doing it here.
Yeah?
We haven't planned anything yet.
Of course not.
Yeah. We're seeing my mom tonight, so that's how we'll plan things. We're thinking of doing one of those pickup things from one of the stores.
Oh, okay.
Like way they do a thing where if you want your meal done by a certain time, it gives you when to throw everything into the oven so that it's ready at that time.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. We've done it before, and it's actually pretty good.
There you go.
We just have to get rid of a lot of our Halloween decorations so that it's not a spooky Thanksgiving. It's like a Thanksgiving.
Yeah. My aunt does all the cooking.
Nice.
It's delicious.
We have a very small kitchen. So.
I mean, I don't know. She does it all by herself. So. That shit's crazy.
We're going to do it for Christmas. We'll cook for Christmas. But for Thanksgiving, we're this came upon us very quickly.
I will be eating grandma's cooking for Christmas.
Oh, yum. You're going to New Orleans?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And one of the days, I think it's the 26th, because I was like, people are still coming in on the 24th.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Christmas. I'm not sharing. And then the 26th is when we're going to celebrate my graduation as a family.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah. I don't know what we're doing.
But either way, you should be celebrated.
I haven't figured out what I want to do because I'm I've done everything in that city.
Right.
I don't know what else to do.
A ghost tour.
No.
Graduation ghost tour.
No.
I think that's a good idea, but whatever.
No. And how pissed would you be if I went on a ghost tour without you in New Orleans?
Yeah, actually, I'd be really upset. Oh, one of my friends, he recommended that you watch Jeepers Creepers, and here's why. He said he was also very afraid of it at first, but then he watched it, and he said he laughed because of how comical it is.
It's not Jeepers Creepers specifically that I am afraid of. It is scary movies in general.
No, see, that's why we're gonna introduce you to the scary movies through Jeepers Creepers. He said you'd probably laugh.
Okay, I want you to remember when we were watching Beetlejuice 2. Okay, not scary, but I got nervous. And my watch buzzed me that I was sitting still and my heart rate was 120. And that movie's not scary. But I was getting nervous.
Okay, I will watch Jeepers Creepers again to make sure that there's no jump scares. I did it for you for Blink Twice.
Yeah, but I knew that was going to be a good movie.
It is a good movie. It's a good movie. I want you to watch it. There were no jump scares. I even made sure to there was one part where I thought it was going to be about to be a jump scare. And I was checking to see the time on the movie. And then there was no jump scare in the after that scene. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't even need to write anything down.
Oh my God. I love you so much for that. That was beautiful. You are a great friend.
But no, it was really good. I really liked that one.
I want to watch that one. It looked interesting.
It is interesting.
Like, it looks like a major mind fuck.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Joe annoyingly was like, I figured it out about halfway through the movie. I was like,
oh,
well,
did you?
I was like, well, I didn't.
Did you, Joe? Did you figure it out halfway through the movie?
That's what he said. But I'm glad he didn't say anything because I would have been mad if he ruined it.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
But yeah, I'll watch that with you. We'll have a sleepover and we can watch it.
Okay.
It's really good.
Okay.
You'd like it.
Yeah.
And it's Channing Tatum, so like,
it's kind of nice.
It's never bad. All right, should we jump into Thanksgiving facts?
Yes. Here's a quick caveat. Well, I guess it's not really a caveat. That's probably not the right way to use that word. Anyway, our facts today are brought to you by ChatGPT, non-spawn, unless they want to.
Which we'd be totally open for.
I use it all the time. I'd be a great spokesperson.
I use it for this episode as well.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked ChatGPT to come up with facts about like beliefs and practices of indigenous peoples that's like related to like the harvest season and autumn. So it's not specifically Thanksgiving, but still an autumn vibe and honoring those that we probably shouldn't be celebrating Thanksgiving like the way that it was originally celebrated.
Right.
But like to just be thankful for things in general.
Yeah.
And then we also have facts about the food that typically is eaten at Thanksgiving. So food facts.
Food facts.
We've got a lot of facts.
So yeah, we'll jump into the general themes of harvest and autumn traditions. Many indigenous nations celebrate harvest festivals to give thanks for the abundance of the earth. These events often include communal feasts, storytellings, and ceremonial dances. The Haudenosaunee, or Iroquois, hold the Harvest Festival as part of their cycle of Thanksgiving ceremonies. Autumn is a time for harvesting crops like corn, beans, squash, the Three Sisters, and other seasonal foods. What are the Three Sisters?
Corn, beans.
Oh! Gotcha. Indigenous peoples in the Pacific Northwest celebrate the return of salmon, hosting ceremonies to honor the fish and ensure its future abundance. I would love that. Tribes often hold rituals to honor the spirits of plants and animals taken during the harvest, recognizing their sacrifice. The Navajo, or Diné, observe traditions of respect when harvesting corn, treating the plant as a sacred gift from the earth. For many indigenous cultures, autumn marks the beginning of the storytelling season, as longer nights provide time for gathering and passing down oral histories and cultural knowledge.
See, I would have less seasonal depression if we did that.
I would actually love if we did that. The Cherokee have a great moon ceremony in late fall to celebrate the harvest and offer gratitude to the Creator. The Lakota and Dakota perform ceremonies that connect to the spiritual aspects of the autumn season, often involving prayer and song. Cornhusk dolls are created by some tribes, like the Iroquois, as both toys and symbols of agricultural traditions. These dolls are often made during or after harvest time. Smudging ceremonies with sage, cedar, or sweetgrass are often performed during this time to cleanse spaces and prepare for the coming winter. The Ojibwe celebrate the ricing moon, reflecting the season for harvesting wild rice, a staple and sacred food. Many tribes observe full moon ceremonies during autumn to honor lunar cycles that guide planting and harvesting. Hunting for game is a significant autumn activity for many indigenous groups, with rituals and prayers ensuring respect for the animals taken. I like how they do a lot of that.
Me too.
Like respecting and honoring what they're taking.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so miserable.
Do you need some more coffee?
No.
You want some?
Maybe.
The season is often a time for creating traditional clothing, tools, and art using harvested natural materials, preparing for trade or personal use during the winter. I don't know why that sentence was so hard for me to read.
I don't know either.
Many indigenous peoples view autumn as a time for gathering and preserving food, ensuring the community is ready for the challenges of winter. Yuck. Harvest time also involves the retelling of origin stories and ancestral wisdom related to agricultural cycles and land stewardship. Autumn equinox ceremonies mark the balance of light and dark, celebrating the cyclical nature of life and preparing spiritually for the shift towards winter. See, I feel like we would also appreciate winter more.
Same.
If we have all these things for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, we can start in our own way to not take from them, but make it our own.
I think there's a bunch of stuff like you can do with like tarot cards and things.
Oh, let's do it.
Oh, I'd have to look into it, but I know there's definitely stuff with like the moon for sure.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
We should. That would be fun. I think either last night or the night before was full moon.
Last night it was, I don't know if it was 100% full, but it looked pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, These traditions emphasize community, gratitude, and a deep connection to nature. Each indigenous nation has its unique interpretations and practices, making their harvest and autumn rituals rich and diverse. Would you like to read about the foods?
Sure, I can try to read.
Have you ever heard the Bob's Burgers Thanksgiving song?
Of course.
That's all I think about when I was like reading turkey, mashed potatoes.
Okay, so here is a list of facts about traditional foods eaten on Thanksgiving. So, of course, we have turkey, which is typically the main dish. Turkey became the centerpiece of Thanksgiving dinners in the 19th century, popularized by writer Sarah Josepha Hale. Wild turkeys were abundant in early America. See, this is not going well.
You want me to do it? Do you want to keep going? You want to try? Warm me up for your story?
I got it.
You got this.
Yeah. Wild turkeys were abundant in early America, but today's Thanksgiving turkeys are typically domesticated and much larger. Americans consume approximately 46 million turkeys on Thanksgiving each year. That's crazy. Butterball's Turkey Talk line receives thousands of calls each Thanksgiving to help with turkey preparation. That's cool.
Are you a big turkey person?
Yes.
You like turkey?
I only eat it on Thanksgiving.
Are you light meat or dark meat?
Light. Always light.
I'm dark meat, and I only eat turkey on Thanksgiving, but it's not my favorite thing. I'm a ham person over turkey. But it has to be like honey ham, like honey baked ham. Normal ham has to be like honey baked. Well, yeah.
You should do that on Christmas.
Yeah, we do ham on Christmas.
I take it back. Not turkey. Turkey is important, but I think that's also because my mom called me her little turkey because I was born on Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Yeah. But I love stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking love stuffing. Oh my God, I could eat stuffing.
I love stuffing. I make a really good stuffing too. Oh yeah.
I made a really good box stuffing once.
That's pretty much how I did it, but it's pretty damn good.
It was really good. So stuffing. The term stuffing is used in the northern U.S., while dressing is more common in the South.
I don't like that.
Me neither. Traditional stuffing recipes include bread, onions, celery, but regional variations may use cornbread, oysters, or sausage. Oysters.
I also don't think that. I love oysters, but ew.
Not in my stuffing.
I have a funny story about oysters. So grandma loves oysters, but she wasn't eating them because there's that bacteria virus thingy in them that eats your brain.
Oh, good.
But so she looked it up and she said they're a little bit safer now. And she goes, I just started eating oysters. She goes, if I die, at least I'm going to die happy. So in the past week, she went and got oysters 3 times.
Oh my God.
She went a year without eating them, and they're one of her favorite things.
Well, good for her.
I know. I was like, well, if grandma's eating oysters, I guess I'll get back into them.
Grandma says it's okay.
Exactly.
Stuffing dates back to ancient Rome, where birds were stuffed with a mixture of herbs, spices, and nuts.
See, so that makes the name stuffing make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because they actually stuffed it.
Exactly.
Now we don't stuff it as much.
We don't.
Don't do that.
No.
Keep it separate. This is the only time where I'm semi okay with some things touching on my plate.
Ooh.
Or else I
No, I love the mix of it.
Mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes became a Thanksgiving favorite in the 1800s.
They are my favorite.
Traditional recipes call for butter and cream for richness, but variations include garlic, cheese, or sour cream. Some families serve sweet potatoes or yams instead of traditional white potatoes.
Or do all of them.
Both. Cranberry sauce, another staple that I don't eat.
Either. Joe loves cranberry sauce, though.
Cranberries are one of the few fruits native to North America and were likely used by Native Americans in early dishes. Early cranberry sauces were tart, but sugar was added as it became more available. The canned variety debuted in 1912 and remains a popular option.
Is your family canned or homemade?
Canned.
Yep. I know so many people who prefer the canned over the homemade.
I am just so satisfied when it has the ribs of the can.
Yep.
And then someone just slices it. It's beautiful.
Yep.
It's absolutely stunning. Pumpkin pie. Early settlers likely made a pumpkin custard inside a hollowed out pumpkin rather than modern pie. By the 1800s, pumpkin pie became a symbol of Thanksgiving thanks to its mention in Sarah Josepha Hale's campaign for the holiday.
So she's really the person for Thanksgiving.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
The combination of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves gives pumpkin pie its signature flavor.
I'm a big fan of pumpkin pie.
I'm not a pie person.
Joe does not like pumpkin. Did you know, though, that pumpkin, like if you give like mashed pumpkin to dogs, it makes them have to pee?
Well, don't do that.
We learned from Roy.
He peed immediately?
Well, because he wasn't eating his food much. And so we were mixing in pumpkin pie, like the pumpkin puree or whatever that you get that doesn't have the spices, but dogs can eat it. So we were mixing that in with his food and he loved it. And we're like, it's fall, like, here you go. And then he started having accidents in the house. And he's not an accident in the house kind of dog.
Yeah.
Like, we were recording one time and he just started peeing next to me.
That's right.
Yes. And so we got to the point where we like called the vet and we're like, we don't know why he is peeing so much. We're like, this has to be an issue. Like one time I was taking him out when we lived up on the 4th floor and he peed, but there's grates, like slats, and it just dripped all the way down to the ground from the 4th floor. And I was like, Roy, we can't do this. And then we looked it up. Pumpkins. Pumpkin makes dogs pee. It's like, you know how coffee will make you pee? Yeah, it's pumpkins for dogs.
Poor Roy boy.
And so we took the pumpkin away and he stopped peeing, so we canceled the vet appointment.
Poor Roy boy. Oh my God.
And you could tell he would feel bad, but he just like couldn't hold it.
Can't help it,
and
Mom.
it wasn't his fault.
No,
and we're like, it was the pumpkin.
That's hysterical.
So yeah, little PSA for dog owners.
Don't do it. All right, another favorite, green bean casserole.
Ooh,
Love green bean.
I do too, but it has to have the crunchy little
100%.
onions on it.
Created in 1955 by Dorcas Riley at Campbell Soup Company, it's one of the youngest Thanksgiving dishes. The dish was designed to combine readily available ingredients like canned green beans, cream of mushroom soup, and fried onions.
I also have a funny story about green bean casserole. One Thanksgiving, Jared was like, I make the best green bean casserole. And we're like, great. And he's like, I'll make it for Thanksgiving. We said, awesome. So my grandma didn't make a single green for Thanksgiving because we're going to have green bean casserole. So we come in and my grandma's like, Jared, where's the green bean casserole? He goes, oh, no. And she goes, well, no greens for Thanksgiving.
That is the least shocking story I have ever heard.
Yeah.
Corn. Corn was essential to the survival of early settlers and was likely part of the first Thanksgiving. Dishes included cornbread, creamed corn, or simply roasted kernels.
Yum.
And then sweet potatoes or yams, which actually are not the same.
Oh.
While often called yams in the U.S., most Thanksgiving dishes use sweet potatoes.
I didn't know they weren't the same.
They're similar.
Oh.
It's like a cousin or something. My mom makes the best sweet potato casserole.
With marshmallows?
With the marshmallows. It's the only time I eat marshmallows.
Oh, I love marshmallows.
So with this marshmallow topping, this tradition began as a marketing campaign by Angelus Marshmallows in the early 20th century.
Good for them.
Good for them.
Thinking sweet potatoes, we're going to do our marshmallows.
Oh my God. So is a marshmallow named a marshmallow because it was named after a person?
Ooh, I don't know.
That changes things.
That does.
And last but certainly not least, pecans. Pecan. Pecan pie. I think I say pecan pie. No, pecan pie.
I say pecan pie.
I say pecan
Pecan pie. No, pecan pie.
Pecans. I say pecans when I want to be obnoxious.
Can you pass me a pecan?
Yes. Pecan pie is a Southern favorite. Pecan pie became a Thanksgiving staple in the 20th century.
My mom makes it with chocolate chips. Oh, it's so good.
Not a pie person.
Oh, I love pie.
Pecans are native to the southern U.S. and were cultivated by Native Americans long before European settlers arrived.
Shocking.
These dishes and their traditions reflect a blend of Native American foods and European cooking methods, creating the unique Thanksgiving feast we know today. And that's some Thanksgiving-type-esque facts. Vibes were there.
Vibes were there.
Yeah.
It's now making me really excited for Thanksgiving.
Ugh, my stomach hurts.
Here I am like, oh my God, all these foods. And you're like, no. Did you know that the biggest drinking day in the U.S. is the day before Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Because everyone's with their families.
I don't, though.
You don't go out drinking?
Nope.
Why?
Because I don't want to be hungover on this great day of food.
I get that.
Like,
we went out a couple times and then we reached an age where we're like, no.
Yeah, no. And I was hungover as fuck. And it sucked.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
It does suck because then you can't eat all of the food.
Correct. So, not for me.
Not for you.
No. All right, Lauren, what spooky tea you pouring?
I wish we had a video camera so people could see how you are laying. You know what?
Take a picture.
I'm going to take a picture. We had to come to a new location. We usually record downstairs, but Joe was watching the football game. And he's like, do you think you guys could record upstairs so I could watch the football game? And I mean, it's really working out for you, huh?
Oh, this is so nice.
Practice for next week.
Oh, this is beautiful. And to think that instead of a floor, it'll be a bed.
Oh, I know. Well, it won't be that comfy for me, but at least I can like rest myself up against the wall with like some pillows under my back.
Yes, and then like I could lay the opposite way.
Oh, yeah, so we can look at each other.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right now I can't see you.
I know. It's like kind of just, I'm talking to like the side of your face.
Sorry.
Okay.
I can do that, but then mine's gonna hurt. So.
All right, so today I'm going to bring you a story of a Thanksgiving cryptid.
Oh.
Yes, you heard that right. A Thanksgiving cryptid.
Okay.
So you get to hear about the gobble squatch.
Okay.
So a little science to start. The scientific the scientific name for a turkey is Meleagris gallopavo.
Okay.
Gallopavo. But as to how we got the name turkey is up for debate. So some believe that the name turkey came from the Native American word furkey, while others believe the name came from the noises turkey makes when they're afraid. Turk, turk, turk.
I thought they gobbled.
This is when they're afraid.
I didn't know they made another sound.
You know, I didn't either. Another version is that Christopher Columbus named them after thinking he landed in India. He may have thought that they were a type of peacock.
Christopher Columbus did not fucking step foot on this godforsaken country.
So anywho, so he would have named them Tuka, which is an Indian name for peacock in India's Tamil language. So, up for debate. But anywho, that brings us...
Not that one. That one I know for a fact is wrong.
Where did he land then?
He was in the Caribbean.
Oh.
He never actually stepped foot on American soil.
That's not something we learned in history class.
No shit. He fucked shit up for the Caribbean just like the Europeans fucked shit up here.
Mm-hmm.
He just did it
down there. Well, anywho, that brings us...
He was still wrong. He didn't make it to India, but he didn't make it here either.
To the gobble squatch. So the gobble squatch is said to be another species of turkey that roams the woods of North America.
Okay.
It is believed to remain in hibernation until late fall when it finally emerges. Professor Wesley Wimscott wrote a report.
That sounds like a fake name.
it could be. About this creature and said that it comes from the folklore of the Native Americans who lived along the Chautauqua River in Virginia. Wimscott said that Chautauqua means feather as long as a tree.
Oh.
But Cryptoville, it's a website, who, quote, seeks the truth about cryptozoology, said that there may be some discrepancies in the professor's tale.
Okay.
They said that Chautauqua meant, one, a Native American people formerly inhabiting territory along the Chautauqua River in North and South Carolina, and now located in western South Carolina, so not even in Virginia.
Okay.
Or a reddish North American grape developed from the fox grape.
Wait, what?
So he's saying that...
It's a grape?
Apparently. So he's saying that Wimscott says that it means feather as long as a tree. This Cryptoville is saying, no.
Oh.
So his stuff is lying.
Oh, he's saying that it actually means grape.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or the people who are now in western South Carolina.
Okay.
This creature, though, is said to be bigger than a tree. It also has a giant waddle. So a waddle is the thing that hangs.
Oh, wow. That's gross.
It is said that the gobble squatch drops massive poops across the land.
What the fuck, Lauren?
And his feathers are said to be so heavy that they can destroy a car on impact. Hence the Chautauqua meaning feather as long as a tree.
Uh-huh.
So our professor friend pointed out some reasons for why he believes this gobble squatch exists. We're just going to keep going on with what he believes.
Okay.
He believes this is a creature, so he's telling us why.
Got it. Okay.
So the waddle, like I said, is the hanging part of a turkey's neck.
Mm-hmm.
So Professor Wimscott said that the Cherokee Indians used to wear imitation giant waddles around their necks. It was part of their ceremonial garb.
Did they actually do that?
Apparently, based on his research. I didn't research it.
Right, but he was already debunked by the other guy.
Yeah, but this is before our other guy debunked him.
Okay.
So these giant waddles were man-made from gourds tied with deer sinew, but apparently
tied with what?
Deer sinew.
What the fuck is that?
Like, I think the intestine parts of deer. But apparently this was only a thing done in pre-colonial times. So if there wasn't a real gobble squatch, then how would they have known to make large ones? There is also a Powhatan legend that is somehow supposed to explain the gobble squatch. I don't know how it does, but supposedly. So this
guy just sounds so credible.
So this is the legend of Kayaki, or giant dropping of death. This is an ancient tribal story that tells about the tribe's first chief. There was a drought hitting the tribe, so the chief set out to the mountains to fast for 15 days and 15 nights in order to hear the god's suggestion for ending the drought. After those 15 days, at dusk, the chief excitedly ran back home. But as he was passing under the branches of a huge tree, he was killed by a falling liquid bomb. Maybe the giant poo.
But it's a liquid.
Yeah, giant poo. Like liquid poo.
Ew, he's diarrhea.
Well, have you ever seen bird poo?
That's true.
Yeah.
I have.
It's not like human poo.
You know why I've seen it, Lauren?
Because I had birds.
No.
Oh, because of the seagulls pooping on you.
Both times with you. I think you paid them.
Yep, I paid the birds. So much of Professor Wimscott's research was poo-pooed, but oddly
no kidding.
Oddly enough, though, a lot of his research into this isn't able to be found. So his paper was classified as ultra secret by PHSSAW, pending verification.
Who's that?
I tried to look up the acronym, could not find a single thing about what it was.
Oh, it's not real?
I don't know.
Well, what is it? What was it again?
PHSSAW. And I also was going to look up what a liquid bomb was, but I was at work and I decided not to Google the word bomb. So then in October 2010, Professor Wimscott disappeared in the Blue Ridge Mountains while searching for the gobblesquatch. His last diary entry read, quote, found a nest, measured 14 by 12 and a half feet. Will infiltrate as an egg. At his campsite, they also found cuttings of half-inch white styrofoam. Quote,
when did he disappear?
2010.
Oh, fuck.
Which, quote, geoengineers have calculated could not withstand more than 53 pounds of pressure from, say, a sitting bird. So I guess he tried to infiltrate as an egg using styrofoam and died.
Because the bird sat on him. That's so fucking funny.
I actually just made that connection reading it out loud because when I was doing the research, I was like, does he mean has an egg? Like that the nest has an egg? No, he's going to infiltrate as an egg.
As an egg. And then he got fucking sat on.
Oh my gosh.
It's so funny.
So I have a couple other reports about the gobblesquatch, but I will say that they're all stretches. So
this whole time has been a stretch.
Okay, in 1672, a young man, Ezekiel Fitzgerald from the Blue Ridge Mountains, was hanged for heresy.
Uh-huh.
He claimed that he saw a giant turkey with a wingspan, quote, larger than the throne of the Almighty. Surviving judicial records note that Ezekiel, quote, hath overwrought heresy in proclamation most dire, to wit, that his eyes landed upon a creature of wingspan greater than the throne of the Almighty. So nothing can be greater.
Back then must have just been so frustrating.
I know. Can you tell me what you mean? So he probably was like, I saw this thing, and they're like, nothing is greater than the Almighty.
Oh.
Yep. Apparently in 1750, Thomas Jefferson was sent home from school because he kept using the word gobbledygook. It was then pointed out that gobbledygook was, quote, a local Virginia word referring to those who doubted the existence of a giant gobbler in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Is that where we get it from?
No, because I looked it up. The actual definition is...
I was going to say.
Language that is meaningless or is made unintelligible by excess use of abstruse technical terms or nonsense.
Yeah, gobbledygook.
Uh-huh. And is believed to have been coined in the 1940s.
So long after Jefferson was gone.
Thomas Jefferson's fascination of the gobblesquatch never wavered, though. He commissioned a team led by Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, sound familiar, to hunt the beast down under the guise of an expedition to study the area's plants, animal life, and geography.
No.
Apparently, they did so on their way to the Pacific Ocean.
No.
Don't go against Thomas Jefferson, Mackenzie.
No, that did not happen.
It was under the guise of what they were doing. Then in 1861, the Virginia Lumber Company had planned to clear out Mount Mitchell, which is in North Carolina, but scrapped their plans after foreman Sid Sawyer reported that, quote, his men heard frightening falsetto rumblings that set the men afeared at night, constant thunder as of birds beating wings, and unclearable mounds of white-stained excrement beneath the branches of the most desirable trees.
Ew.
Finally, supposedly, the Wright brothers spent,
oh my God.
spent 3 months in the Blue Ridge Mountains wanting to study how birds fly. Then, in 1903, they developed their first plane. This prototype supposedly had a huge wingspan with gourds draped over the fuselage. They named it the Warbler, but it never took off. But also, they scrapped plans. They said it was because they saw big birds fly. Then I have a couple stories about it.
Okay.
Okay. In February of 1942, 37 military recruits wanted to avoid war service, so they went to hide in the hills of Virginia. Just 2 months later, 33 of those AWOL soldiers reported back to duty, all claiming that not even the German Air Force could drop anything, quote, as vile as those birds do.
That's funny.
Then this one I think you'll really like.
Okay.
This one was in May of 1967. A Virginia hippie commune made a big decision.
Love it.
You wouldn't like this part, though.
Oh,
They became the first to swear off marijuana use.
that sounds terrible.
The founder, Zeke Zapper Sturbaum,
That's a fake name.
told Time magazine, quote, "We toke up on green tea now. That stuff was making us see huge turkeys that pecked holes in our WV camper and swallowed our sleeping bags whole." In 2008, in a previously censored transcript from the Space Shuttle's mission, Leland Melvin, a VA native and NASA astronaut, is heard marveling from space, quote,
So these are mostly in Virginia?
yeah, well, this creature is in Virginia,
Yeah, see, that's also how I know that
in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
the Lewis and Clark thing is bullshit because they didn't explore Virginia.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Jefferson just wanted them to explore all over as they made their way to see if they could find it anywhere. Anywho, Leland, he said, quote, "Jeezum, look at the Great Lake from up here.
Jeezum.
Looks like a giant claw print from Gobble Squatch and it's heading west." He's just saying the Great Lakes look like there's been a giant claw print from the Gobble Squatch.
The Great Lakes, like the
Mhm.
ones that, when did he get up to Michigan?
He's in a space shuttle.
Oh, right.
So the beast hasn't been seen in years. The prevailing theory for this is that some terrible event occurred which caused the Gobble Squatch to head to the Northwest Territories with rainforests, though there are not rainforests.
Wow, your story is just getting more credibility by the second.
And dense woods. Those who say he went here say that he has, quote, aligned himself with the Bigfoot.
Why do they get all the fun stuff?
Because there's a lot of woods.
There's a lot of woods here.
We don't have as many as up there.
Well, we do in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
That's why he was hiding there.
Yeah.
But so I ran out of things about the Gobble Squatch. So then I was like, okay, let's turn to crimes involving turkeys and then Thanksgiving ghosts. So now we introduce Irene Leonhard.
Leonhard?
Uh-huh.
Mm.
She lives in the Villages in Virginia.
The
Nope.
Villages.
In Florida. The Villages are the largest gated over 55 community in the world, and they're apparently very conservative. Leonhard
Shocking.
is a 67-year-old retired GM employee and faithful church member. Years ago, on a whim, she bought a turkey costume from a catalog. From there, she spruced it up by adding boas, so now it is, quote, a really striking outfit.
Is it?
Quote, "I would wear it to pass out candy to the children," she said. "I do it for my neighborhood. It's just something fun to do."
Okay.
On November 10th, 2017, she put on her costume and rode her golf cart over to Belk's to pass out candy. It was Thanksgiving month, so she wore her outfit. The store hadn't asked her to do this. She just wanted to do it on her own.
Okay.
All was fine until Leonhard was arrested by the Lady Lake Police Department. Surveillance
These names. I swear you are making them up as you go.
Surveillance cameras caught her walking into the store carrying a blue mesh bag and small brown purse. It then proceeded to catch her stealing purses, namely a Michael Kors, an electric snow globe, jewelry, and a waffle maker, among other things. In total, she stole 11 items worth a total of $1,497.99. She was arrested on a charge of grand theft and booked at the Lake County Jail on a $5,000 bond.
Oh my God.
She plans on fighting the charges.
Okay.
Quote, "I was hoping to wear my costume to court, but now I don't think that's a good idea," she added. "I don't think that would impress the judge."
No.
So I looked more into this to see if she actually went to court.
Okay.
So she ended up entering a plea of no contest and agreed to enter into a pre-trial intervention contract. If she is able to live up to the terms of the contract, which I couldn't find, but it includes not owning a firearm and checking in with a mental health professional, the case will be dismissed.
Okay.
She ordered her costume a little late, though. On November 24th, 2011,
Hey.
the largest gathering of people dressed as turkeys happened in Dallas, Texas.
Nice.
It was accomplished at the 44th annual Capital One Bank Dallas YMCA Turkey Trot with 661 participants. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
As the longest name of a tournament?
It could be that too. But then, okay, looking more into Irene and her case, I found another article about her.
Okay.
So in the article, it said last week, which meant November of 2019.
Okay.
The prosecutor's office announced that she will not be prosecuted on a charge for trespassing. Apparently, she was arrested on November 4th at a home on Aloha Way. Her ex-boyfriend had signed a trespass order banning her from his property. She became so irate that she lifted her denim dress and exposed herself to law enforcement. She then began screaming and cussing and threw a bottle at the police. After her turkey arrest, she penned a letter to the editor claiming that she had been deserted by her fellow Red Hatters. I'll let you do with that what you will.
You deserve to be deserted.
And the Red Hatters?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I caught on.
Good. So I will end this research with a Thanksgiving ghost story, and then 2 surprises I have at the end for you.
Okay.
So Geneva, New York has its very own Thanksgiving ghost.
Oh.
It was Thanksgiving Day in 1902 when a southbound train was nearing Geneva, New York. As the train was approaching the Marsh Bridge, the engineer and firemen on board heard a piercing scream. Startled, the 2 men looked around and noticed a white figure standing to the east of the bridge, frantically waving their arms. The engineer obviously brought the train to a stop. When he did, the engineer and firemen heard another piercing scream and watched as the white phantom disappeared right before their eyes.
Ew.
The 2 jumped from the train and searched the entire area and around the tracks but could find no sign of the person they had just seen. They got back onto the train and started across the bridge again, and as they did so, they heard one final shriek. They finally arrived into the station rattled, where they shared their experience with the railroad workers. This is when the railroad workers filled the men in on this story. There had been an accident on that bridge years prior. The engineer and fireman in the accident both died when the train ran off Marsh Bridge. The fireman's body was lost to quicksand and never recovered. Ever since that accident, a shrieking...
Quicksand.
That's when quicksand does become an issue. Ever since that accident, a shrieking phantom is said to be spotted on this bridge every year around Thanksgiving Day. Sounds like an urban legend, right?
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer Jones from Dead History actually found an article that sounds like it could be proof of this accident.
Okay.
On March 29th, 1987, or 1897, I accidentally wrote 187, and I'm missing a letter for the year. I think it's 1897 or 1887. It's the 1800s.
Okay.
A train left Syracuse at 7:45 p.m. heading towards Rochester on the Auburn Road. The train was only half a mile outside of Geneva when it ran into flowing water that had washed over a bridge over Marsh Creek. The engineer tried everything but was unable to stop the train. The locomotive, tender, and baggage car all fell off the track and down into the flooded waters, immediately disappearing underneath.
Oh.
Somehow, though, the passenger car stayed on the track and no passengers or other crew members were killed.
That's weird.
But not all of the crew made it. The engineer and firemen were in one of the cars that fell into the water. The body of the engineer, Ignatius Butel, was found on the afternoon of Sunday, March 30th. The body of the fireman, Augustus Sipple, was found quite a distance away on March 31st. This incident became known as the Marsh Creek casualty or the Geneva disaster.
So people think that this story is the one where they saw the phantom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Though there's no connection to Thanksgiving in this tale.
Oh.
But the story kind of matches. But maybe the spirits were that of Engineer Butel and Fireman Sipple trying to warn other railroad men of the dangers of the bridge. Okay, now, this is the surprise. So I had some fun with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I asked it to give me a scary Thanksgiving story involving a Mackenzie and a Lauren.
Oh, God.
I got 3 great ones, which I can read to you later. But then I was like, oh, I want one about us and our podcast.
Okay.
So I got a good one. I'm going to read that one.
Okay.
But then I was like, okay, let's make it Thanksgiving related.
Okay.
So I got that one too.
Okay.
So these are both kind of short, so I'm going to read them.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, this one is not the Thanksgiving related one.
But it's still scary.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God, they're so scary. Actually, I was getting chills when I was reading them. Okay. This one is called The Listener's Whisper.
I already don't like it.
All right. It had started as any other recording night for a scary state. Lauren and Mackenzie, as usual, had gathered in their shared recording studio, surrounded by their usual array of microphones, headphones, and a laptop displaying the show's outline.
God, I wish.
I know. I was like, God, we have headphones here?
Wow. We are doing great.
The studio was cozy, almost too cozy, with its
God.
dim lighting and the hum of an old air conditioner. Their setup had always had a warm...
we would never have that hum.
No, we wouldn't because we're professional. Their setup had always had a warm, inviting feel to it. Their listeners loved the intimate vibe of the podcast, often remarking how it felt like they were right there in the room with Lauren and Mackenzie as they told spooky stories.
Aww.
This episode was supposed to be one of their normal true crime and paranormal hybrids, which I was shocked that it knew that about us.
Of course it does.
And I did ask it to explain a Scary State podcast, and I'll have to read that to you later. It was wild.
I mean, it has access to everything on the
But
internet.
it's just insane. I was like, how does it know? Okay. The episode was supposed to be one of their normal true crime and paranormal hybrids, where they combined real-life mysteries with chilling paranormal experiences. The case they were covering that evening was the haunting of a historic inn in a small suburb town of Virginia. There were rumors about the place being cursed. Its previous owners had vanished without a trace, leaving only cryptid messages behind. Mackenzie had done the heavy lifting of research for this one. And Lauren had pieced together the spine-chilling paranormal details. Everything was as it always was, until the story started to unfold. At first, there was just a creepy feeling, like the air in the room had shifted. Mackenzie was reading a particularly eerie eyewitness account, detailing how the ghostly apparitions in the inn would often communicate with guests in strange ways. The ghost, a woman in white, was said to have whispered messages into the ears of those who were alone. As Mackenzie spoke, Lauren swore she heard a faint whisper, almost imperceptible, like a voice coming from the other side of the room. Did you hear that? Lauren interrupted.
Shut up!
Glancing nervously towards the dark corner of the studio, Mackenzie froze, her finger pausing on the keyboard. What? I didn't hear anything. I swear it sounded like someone whispered my name. You're messing with me, right? Mackenzie asked, a slight smile tugging at her lips
I
as
would
she
not be
brushed it off.
smiling. I would not fucking be smiling. I'd be so fucking pissed at you right now.
You're just spooked from the story. But Lauren wasn't laughing. She looked towards the door, her eyes narrowing in suspicion. The whisper had been so clear, too clear. She shook her head and tried to focus, but something felt off. They resumed recording, pushing through the unease as best they could. Mackenzie moved on to the next part of the story, describing how some guests had claimed that they could hear their names called. Softly at first, then louder and more urgent, until they were overwhelmed by the need to leave. As she spoke, the temperature in the room dropped noticeably. The chill was almost immediate, like stepping into a freezer. Mackenzie pulled her cardigan tighter around her shoulders, shivering as she glanced at Lauren. Do you feel that? She asked, her voice slightly shaking. Lauren nodded, her breath visible in the air. What the hell is going on? This isn't normal. The microphones flickered, crackling for a moment. Lauren instinctively adjusted her headphones, but it only got worse. A soft, almost rhythmic tapping began at the back of the studio, coming from the far wall.
No! Stop it!
Tap.
Stop it.
Tap.
Stop it. Stop
Tap.
it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Is this part of the setup? Mackenzie whispered. She leaned closer to Lauren, her voice dropping. Did we forget to turn something off? It almost sounds like tapping from the other side of the wall.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
But there was no one else there. The building was quiet. Too quiet. They paused the recording, both of them standing up in unison to check the room. That's when things got strange. The laptop screen on which they had been reviewing their notes flickered and went dark.
Oh my god.
When it came back on, a new message had appeared, one that neither of them had typed. I can hear you. Lauren's pulse quickened. What the hell? Did you see that? I didn't type that, neither did you, Mackenzie said, her face pale. The tapping continued, louder now, as if it were moving along the walls towards them.
I don't like this at all. I am not having fun.
The air felt suffocating. Mackenzie reached for her phone to text their producer, which would be awesome as a producer, but before she could, it buzzed in her hand. She looked down and her heart stopped.
No!
It was a message from an anonymous listener. I know you can hear us. Turn off the mic.
Stop it!
Mackenzie's hands trembled as she showed Lauren the message. That's impossible. How could anyone? Her words were cut off by a low guttural sound coming through the speakers of their microphones. It was a whisper, too faint to make out at first, but then it became clearer. Lauren, Mackenzie, we've been listening.
Stop!
Lauren looked at Mackenzie, fear evident in her eyes. This isn't funny anymore. Who's messing with us? Mackenzie turned the microphones. They were picking up something, static at first, then a voice. It was too clear to ignore now. The voice was cold and deliberate, like it was speaking from the depths of the earth itself. You're not alone. Just as Mackenzie reached to shut off the recording, everything went dead. The lights flickered and the room seemed to lose all its warmth. The sound of soft footsteps, barely audible but undeniable, began to echo through the space. It was then that Lauren realized, with a chilling certainty, that they weren't alone at all. The walls seemed to breathe, the air thick with the sensation of unseen eyes watching them.
Don't do that.
Slowly, they both turned towards the back corner of the room,
That
where
was
the
a bad
tap,
idea.
tap, tapping had originated. And there in the shadows, they saw something.
Ah!
A figure, tall, shadowy, and featureless, standing just beyond the reach of the dim light.
Ew, 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 ew.
It stepped forward, and just before the lights flickered out entirely, Lauren heard it, right next to her ear. We've been listening, and now
Ew.
you belong to us. The podcast was silent, the feed cut abruptly. The recording, the cameras, the equipment, they all shut down simultaneously, leaving only the sound of the wind rushing through the abandoned studio. When the lights came back on hours later, Lauren and Mackenzie were found staring at the empty room. Their microphones lay on the floor, turned off. But there was strange, incomprehensible recordings on their devices, whispers from hundreds of listeners all calling their name. And as they looked around, they could hear it again, the tapping. But it wasn't just in the walls anymore, it was coming from everywhere.
You can't do the second story.
I'm gonna do it.
No, you
This
can't
one's
do
so
it.
creepy!
No, you can't do it. I'm unwell. You gotta give me a second. You gotta give me a second.
This next story is shorter than the first one.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's also a lie because you said that they were both short. I need to get like under a blanket.
Aren't you happy we're not recording at night? I was like reading these, and while I was reading them, I was like getting chills because they were like actually kind of creepy.
So let me read this to my friend
Yep.
who is easily scared.
Mm-hmm. I'm not scared when I read things. I'm scared when I watch things.
When I read, I have to be reading.
No, but it's more fun this way.
I am not reading. I am listening.
Okay, yes, cover yourself with a blanket. Okay, so this one, I wanted the same parameters, so us, podcast, all of that, but I wanted a Thanksgiving twist. So this one is called The Harvest Listener. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and Lauren and Mackenzie were in the studio preparing for a special holiday episode of A Scary State, which is what we're doing right now, so that's really fun.
But we're not in the studio.
And it's not Wednesday.
True.
They had decided to take a break from their usual true crime and paranormal cases to delve into a strange local legend, one that was tied to the harvest season, with a dark, twisted history buried in the heart of their home state.
Come out of that closet.
Oh, Jesus. It'll get me first. The story revolved around a rural farmstead that had once been a thriving family business until a brutal series of disappearances plagued the area each year around Thanksgiving. The family was known for hosting large feasts, inviting neighbors and strangers alike to celebrate the season of abundance. But after a particularly brutal harvest in the early 1900s, something changed. People began to vanish. First, just a few guests each year, then more and more, until the townspeople stopped showing up altogether. The tale took a darker turn when it was said that the family had stopped growing traditional crops altogether, instead cultivating fields of something else. The local rumor mill suggested the family had made a terrible bargain, offering more than just their crop to the harvest in exchange for the power to never go hungry again.
Their souls.
Lauren and Mackenzie were digging into the details as they recorded, discussing old newspaper clippings, eyewitness accounts, and old ghost stories. The listeners were excited. It was their first Thanksgiving-themed episode, which I think it actually is.
No, this is our second one.
So the fans were excited. It was their first ever Thanksgiving-themed episode, and fans had been submitting creepy harvest legends from around the country, adding to the festive yet unsettling mood. But something about the night felt off. It was late, around midnight. We would never record that late.
On a Wednesday? Are you kidding?
But we'd have the next day off.
Uh-huh.
And the studio was eerily quiet, save for the low hum of their equipment.
So we're never going to be able to get a studio now. I hope you know that. We will forever have to be in your house.
It'll be in the basement. The wind outside howled from the trees, its mournful wail brushing against the windows. Despite the chill in the air, Lauren felt an unsettling warmth growing in the room. She pushed it aside, focusing instead on the research in front of her. All right, Lauren said, adjusting her mic. So in the late 1800s, the Walker family ran a farm about 3 miles outside of town. They were well known for hosting Thanksgiving dinners every year until people started disappearing. The rumors say the ghosts were... Suddenly, Mackenzie froze, her eyes wide. She stared at the laptop screen in front of her, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. The chat feed was alive with activity. Listeners from all over were sending in messages reacting to the story. So this is like we're doing it live, so that would be really cool. But there was one message that caught Mackenzie's eye. It's not just a story. Mackenzie blinked, leaning in closer. The message had no sender, and there was no username attached to it. Just the words, cryptic and unnerving. She scrolled up, but the message disappeared before she could read more. Did you see that, Mackenzie asked, her voice low. Lauren glanced at the screen. I don't know, it's probably a glitch.
I know that this is made up? Because I would not be this calm.
There are some where, like, one of the stories I read, you were so brave, and I was like, that's a lie.
It's not gonna happen.
And I was the nervous one, like, not wanting to go into the creepy woods.
I wanted to go into creepy woods?
I'll let you read those later.
Oh, my God.
It's probably a glitch. You know how that chat gets sometimes, but Mackenzie wasn't so sure. She refreshed the page, trying to see if the message would reappear, but instead, her laptop screen flickered. It wasn't just the feed that was odd. The sound equipment was acting strange, too. There was a soft crackling noise through the headphones, like static interference. But it quickly grew louder, sharper, until it sounded like someone was scratching at the metal casing of the mic.
No.
What the hell is that? Lauren whispered, her heart skipping a beat. Just then, they both heard it. The distinct sound of footsteps, soft but deliberate, moving across the wooden floor behind them. They turned quickly, but the room was empty. It was only the two of them in the studio. The door was locked. There was no one else. Okay, no, this is not funny, Lauren said, her voice tight with anxiety. We've got to check this. They both...
Bullshit. We wouldn't check.
They both stood up, looking around the small room for any sign of an intruder.
Nope.
The floor creaked under their feet as they walked to the door, and Lauren quickly peered through the glass window. The hallway beyond was empty. Mackenzie wiped her hands on her jeans. It's probably just the wind. The building's old, right? There's no one out there.
No, I would have been in my car. I would have been gone.
Lauren wasn't so sure. Let's just finish the episode and get out of here. It's getting late, and the last thing I want to do is be dealing with weird noises on Thanksgiving Eve. They returned to their microphones, trying to shake off the feeling that they were being watched. As Kenzie resumed reading from the research notes, this time about the Walker family's strange rituals, Lauren couldn't shake the sensation that something was wrong.
Mm-mm.
The air in the room felt heavy, almost suffocating. And then the tapping started.
Stop! The fucking tapping!
I know! It was faint at first, just a light knocking on the walls, so light that they almost convinced themselves it was just the house settling. But then it grew louder. Tap.
Stop it!
Tap.
Stop it!
Tap.
Stop it! Stop it!
Coming from the far corner of the room. Lauren and Mackenzie looked at each other, the unease palpable. Okay, I'm done, Lauren said, her voice shaking now.
Me too!
We need to turn off the mics and get out of here. But as they tried to reach for the power button, the chat feed on their laptop flashed to life again, this time with dozens of new messages, each one more disturbing than the last. You're too late. The harvest is already here. They're hungry.
Ew!
One message, written in a jagged, unsettling font, appeared at the top of the screen. Look behind you. Lauren spun around, her breath catching in her throat. For a moment, the room felt suffocating, like something invisible was closing in on them. And then, in the dim light of the studio, something moved. A shadow, tall and elongated, sliding across the back wall, barely visible but unmistakable. The tapping grew louder, now joined by the sound of dragging footsteps, slow and deliberate, as if something were crawling towards them. They both froze, heartbeats racing, unable to move. Then the door to the studio slammed shut with a violent force, shaking the entire room. The air seemed to vibrate and the temperature plummeted. The microphones crackled one more time, and the unmistakable sound of a low, distorted voice filled the air. Feed us. The lights flickered and died. For a long, terrifying moment, there was only darkness. The wind howled outside. The silence in the room was thick, oppressive. When the lights came back on, Lauren and Mackenzie were sitting at the microphones again, eyes wide with terror. They didn't remember sitting down. The feed was still live. Their listeners were still watching. Some were typing frantically, while others were eerily silent, their messages growing stranger by the second. In the corner of the room, faint traces of something sticky was smeared on the wall.
Ew,
Like dark, dried blood. The smell of rot hung in the air.
Oh my God.
Lauren shakily reached for the mic. If anyone's listening, we need help. The tapping came again, but this time it wasn't from the walls. It was coming from the floor, from beneath them.
No.
They've already come. The recording cut off abruptly. A scary state, along with its listeners, was silenced. Happy Thanksgiving. Aren't they so creepy?
This is why I don't do this. I'm not having as good of a time as you are.
And it would have been so great if we were sitting downstairs on a wooden floor where your back is usually to everything else. I love you. So yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Those are my Thanksgiving tales.
We might have to take a friendship time out after that. I'm sweating.
Oh, I know. Aren't they creepy? I'll read you the other ones too.
No.
I will.
No.
But yeah, so paving our way into the holiday. Okay, Mackenzie. What story do you want to tell me?
That was not nice.
It was really fun.
That was not nice.
I should make this a holiday tradition.
No, you should not.
So like a scary one for Christmas,
Nope.
a New Year's.
No. You're going to make me have a heart attack. I'm going to literally be scared to death.
But your back is up against something right now, so you're like so safe. My back is up against the closet, so that's creepy.
This is why I don't watch scary movies.
But that wasn't a scary movie. It was a scary story. You
Same
listen to
thing.
creepy podcasts.
No, I don't.
Mr. Ballin.
I listen, those ones, not haunted. Just people.
True crime.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's very true.
Listen to. I cannot do the can't see them tapping noise, squeaking.
And the creepy thing is like the thing that both of the stories had in common
tapping
was the creepy tapping from the corner. So if we ever have a studio one day and we hear creepy tapping from the corner, oh God.
You ruined that. That's not happening. And I say this because I'm like, well, she's not going to make it so that her own house is scary and haunted.
I'm fine with us having the studio.
Technically, this is where our studio is currently. So are you saying that your house is haunted?
No, I don't feel a haunted vibe here. Except I did have that one time when it sounded like Richie was singing downstairs and he wasn't home.
Sure, no haunted vibe.
I told you that one. That one was really creepy. And then another time when it sounded like someone was walking in our kitchen and there was no one there. And then the other time when something turned the Halloween lights we have on outside, those were turned on. That was creepy.
Yeah, no, definitely not haunted.
I don't have a bad vibe here. I definitely think our house in Alexandria was more haunted, though. That had random lights and stuff turning on, random doors open, random, things. Like, that one time when I saw that, smear on the front door, we literally called, because we have, a Blink camera, we literally called Blink. We're like, is there any way we can view the footage? And they're like, well, do you have, the package where it records? And we're like, no. And they're like, no. Because I literally thought someone, was in our house. And then there was that creepy crawl space. Ooh,
If you keep this up, we might have to start recording long distance.
But then I won't be able to see these really fun reactions.
That sounds like a you problem.
No. People love the reactions.
You'll hear them.
I love the reactions.
You'll hear them.
Okay, what do you have on our Thanksgiving episode?
Okay, you're going to laugh.
Okay.
And you're not going to believe me when I tell you that I found out about the background of this location after I picked the story.
Okay.
Our story takes place in an area known as the Emerald Triangle in Northern California.
Ooh.
Upon my research for some background on the location and how it got its name, I learned that it's because this area of California is a well-known area for marijuana farmers.
Oh!
Did I know?
Emerald makes sense.
Yes. The one of it was like, oh, it's a really beautiful location. So I was thinking like a lot of trees.
Yeah. No.
No, different plants. I also learned that people have been growing pot in this area since the 1960s when the Summer of Love made its way through San Francisco. The region includes 3 counties in this upside-down triangle configuration. You have Humboldt County on the coast, Trinity County inland, and Mendocino County in the south.
How come Humboldt County is like everywhere?
The name Humboldt County might ring a bell to some of you because of the infamous Humboldt Five. The Humboldt Five refers to a chilling mystery surrounding the disappearances and deaths of 5 young women in the Humboldt County region in Northern California. The Humboldt Five, Jennifer Wilmer, Christina Walters, Sheila Franks, Danielle Bertoloni, and Karen Mitchell, who we will be focusing on today.
Oh, okay.
The host of the podcast Murder, She Told dived into the unsolved murder of Danielle Bertoloni. Kristen Seavey, the host of Murder, She Told Oxygen.com via phone interview, quote, "The Humboldt Five is a group of women that have been clumped together as young women who all have similar looks, similar-ish backstories, and they have gone missing or been found murdered in the same area."
Jeez.
Seavey also says, a woman named them to bring this attention to how many missing people there are. She explained, catchy names get people's attention. True crime investigator Billy Jensen, who wrote about the 5 missing women in his book, Chase Darkness with Me, How One True Crime Writer Started Solving Murders, credits missing persons activist Brenda Condon for coining the name.
Okay.
Their cases span between the 1990s and 2014, and there are multiple theories on whether or not these cases are connected or if some are connected and some are not. The cases of the Humboldt Five highlight several unsettling patterns. Many of the women were vulnerable due to personal struggles, including homelessness, addiction, or a transient lifestyle. Not all of them, though. The remote and isolated nature of Humboldt County, combined with a culture of distrust towards law enforcement, has made investigations challenging. Additionally, rumors of serial predators, drug-related violence, and even human trafficking networks loom over these cases. Something that I would like to address is that these are all stories about white women who are missing or have been murdered. And while there is no exception that their stories are of also great importance, we should also take the time to create catchy names for groups of women whose stories are notoriously ignored by mass media. And before people come at me for contributing to the same stories being talked about, because I'm about to talk about a white woman who's missing.
Right.
In our show notes, you can find links to websites about missing and murdered women and what you can do to help.
Yeah.
So get off me.
And we have covered stories of others as well.
Yes, we have. And I just felt like people would feel it was hypocritical if I was saying that the women whose stories don't get told I'm not about to tell them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, also, here are their stories.
Dun dun.
Yeah. Karen Mitchell was a vibrant, intelligent, and compassionate young woman whose presence left an undeniable mark on those who knew her. Born on November 30th, 1980, Karen grew up in Southern California before moving to Eureka to live with her aunt and uncle. That's a great name.
Eureka.
They provided her with a supportive environment as she attended Eureka High School. Karen had a close relationship with her aunt and uncle who owned a local shoe store in Eureka. Karen adjusted quickly to life in the small coastal town, making friends and becoming part of the community. Karen was known for her passion for social justice and environmental activism. Even as a teenager, she was deeply engaged with issues that mattered to her and wasn't afraid to voice her opinions.
And is Eureka in California?
Yeah, this is in that triangle.
Right. Okay.
Family and friends describe Karen as someone who cared deeply about the world around her and always looked for ways to make a difference. She occasionally volunteered at a local daycare center. Karen enjoyed helping young children and had a way of really connecting with them. At just 16 years old, Karen had a strong sense of justice and fairness. She was interested in politics and current events, often sharing her thoughts on societal changes with those close to her. Her family believed she may have pursued a career in social work or activism had her life not been cut short.
Oh.
Karen Mitchell was just 16 years old when she disappeared on November 25th, 1997. On that day, Karen left her family's shoe store to walk to the local daycare center, where she occasionally had volunteered. Witnesses last saw her near the corner of Broadway and West Wabash around 2:45 p.m., but she never arrived at her destination and she hasn't been seen since.
And this was in 1980? No.
No,
That's when she was
97.
born. Okay.
1997. She was born in 1980.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So it was right before her 17th birthday. The Mitchell family reported Karen missing the same evening, and local authorities launched an investigation. Despite extensive searches, including canvassing the area, interviews, and media coverage, no solid leads emerged in the days and weeks following her disappearance. Officers canvassed the area, speaking to shop owners and witnesses along Karen's known walking route. A local witness claimed to have seen a young woman matching Karen's description getting into a light blue sedan. Despite this potential lead, no vehicle matching the description was located. Law enforcement distributed missing person flyers with Karen's image and description, including her striking red hair, blue eyes, and the clothes that she was last seen wearing, which was a long-sleeve tan sweater, baggy pants, and tennis shoes. Tips poured in, but none led to Karen. Investigators also created a psychological profile of a potential abductor. They considered the likelihood of the suspect being transient, given Eureka's population at the time, or someone who might have been familiar with Karen's routine. Profilers suggested the suspect could have been a predator with prior knowledge of the area and potentially opportunistic tendencies.
Creepy.
The community of Eureka rallied around Karen's family, organizing volunteer search parties in the days and weeks after her disappearance. Groups combed through wooded areas, abandoned properties, and riverbanks near her walking route. Despite their thoroughness, these efforts turned up no evidence. Local and regional media kept Karen's story in the spotlight for months. News outlets aired interviews with Karen's family, emphasizing her bright personality and her plans for the future, which made her disappearance all more tragic. Police encouraged the public to report any suspicious behavior or new leads. The case faced significant challenges from the start. Without witnesses who could confirm Karen's exact movements, authorities struggled to establish a clear timeline. The reported sighting of Karen entering a car remained unverified, and there was no surveillance footage or forensic evidence to build upon. Additionally, Eureka's transient population complicated efforts to track down individuals who may have interacted with Karen that day. As months turned into years, the case grew cold. However, Karen's disappearance was periodically revisited by law enforcement and investigative journalists. In the early 2000s, advances in DNA technology and renewed interest in cold cases led to a reevaluation of evidence. Unfortunately, the lack of physical evidence left few avenues for new breakthroughs. In 2012, the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office announced plans to re-examine Karen's case, citing advancements in forensic science and database resources for missing persons. Despite these efforts, no significant developments have been reported. While some investigators believe Karen fell victim to a local predator or transient, others are convinced her disappearance was the work of a seasoned criminal like Robert Durst. The lack of physical evidence and eyewitness conversation means that theories remain speculative, leaving Karen's family without closure. One of the primary theories was that Karen might have been abducted while walking on the busy stretch of Broadway. Eureka was a transient-heavy area at the time, with frequent reports of hitchhiking and encounters with unfamiliar individuals. Over the years, Karen's case has drawn comparisons to other high-profile disappearances and murders, particularly those involving young women in Northern California, hence the Humboldt Five. So, these theories, we go into them.
Okay.
And what people think or who people think could possibly be responsible.
For just hers or for all five?
Just hers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Most people don't think that they're all connected.
Okay.
There's two that happened relatively close together. So some people think that those might be, but other than that.
But so they're just kind of all linked together because of where it happened?
Where it happened.
Okay.
They all look relatively similar.
Right. Okay.
That kind of thing.
And what were the spans of years that the whole Humboldt Five stuff happened?
93 to 2014.
And it's not like that's a huge stretch of time.
No, it's 2 decades.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, right.
Couple happened in the 90s. Majority of the one, and then I think what I was saying majority was 2014. And I think there was one in 2008 or something like that.
Huh.
Yeah. So I think that's they're just put together because of their location. I don't think when the person who coined it was looking at it in terms of oh, I think this because they're connected.
Right. Okay.
One of the most chilling connections to Karen's case is Robert Durst. Robert Durst, a wealthy New York real estate heir, became infamous for his connection to multiple high-profile criminal cases. So, quick recap, in case you don't know. In 1982, his wife, Kathleen McCormick Durst, disappeared under suspicious circumstances, and her case remains unsolved.
Yeah.
Because you can't see me, I did air quotes. Durst was later linked to the 2000 murder of his friend Susan Berman, who was believed to have knowledge of Kathleen's disappearance. In 2001, Durst admitted to dismembering his neighbor, Morris Black, in Texas, but claimed self-defense and was acquitted of murder. His erratic behavior and cryptic confession during the HBO documentary The Jinx in 2015 led to renewed investigations. In 2021, Durst was convicted of Berman's murder, but died in 2022 while serving his sentence.
Dang.
So Durst was living in Eureka under an alias at the time that Karen disappeared. Witnesses reported seeing a man resembling Durst talking to Karen near the area of her disappearance. Although Durst has never been formally charged in her case, the eerie coincidence raises questions about his involvement. Durst lived in Trinidad, a small coastal town near Eureka, at the same time that Karen went missing. He operated a health food store in the area and was known to drive a light-colored vehicle resembling the sedan witnesses reported seeing. And there's one, sketch of the guy, and you can draw resemblances to Durst. He's got white hair, he looks older.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm I feel like the picture, his face is so much bigger. And Durst is tiny head.
Mm.
So I'll show you. You'll have to see.
Okay.
Durst's pattern of targeting women as demonstrated in later criminal cases raised alarms. Investigators interviewed locals who had seen him in the area during this time. One witness claimed to have seen Durst speaking with a young woman near Broadway around the time of Karen's disappearance, though this account remains unverified. Despite these troubling connections, law enforcement lacked concrete evidence to tie Durst to the case. Some things people also say, too, is the fact that the people that Durst killed were all people he knew and was close to. And he didn't, as far as they know, didn't know her.
Yeah.
So for each of the theories, I put in a couple of comments from people from the internet.
Oh, okay.
So this one is from Reddit from I love ass 002.
Okay.
Yeah. This person kind of gives a little bit of background of why Karen didn't live with her parents.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I guess because if she wasn't 8 or 17 yet, almost 17.
So this is what they said. I didn't confirm it. It wasn't it just said that she was in the care of her aunt and uncle.
Oh, okay.
It didn't go into why or anything like that. So this person says she was a student, a brilliant one too, who wanted to do college early. Used to live with her mother, Mary Casper, in Dana Point, and moved to Eureka, California, 700 miles, to her aunt and uncle, Mary and Bill Casper, where she lived for around 3.5 years before disappearing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
3 days earlier, she contacted her mother, who was as part of a school project, last seen in a blue sedan with an older white driver. So he's listing
all the things about her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two suspects, one which we'll get to after this one.
Okay.
Wayne Adam Ford and Robert Durst, both convicted of murders and homicide. This is what they say about Durst, though. Interesting thing is Durst is known for killing the people he already knew. That's where I got this idea.
Yeah.
His wife, his friend, his neighbor. He escaped charges on previous murders, but when the case was reopened, he fled to Galveston, where he was convicted for killing his neighbor, but this was in the late 2000s. Around the time Karen disappeared, there was another girl who disappeared on June 23rd in Oakland, where she told her colleagues that she intended to visit Baker Beach for a party, and curiously enough, Robert Durst is suspected to be involved in this case, too. Oakland and Eureka are, according to this person, 270 miles apart. She was around 18, and I'm still trying to find more details. I'd be happy to be corrected. And that was it. That was all they said.
Wow.
And then Weatherwax from Web Sleuths said, I'm a little skeptical about Durst. He seems to kill people he's associated with. Now, if what they're saying is true, that he was in her business the week she disappeared, some people claim that he went into her aunt's store.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's where he saw her because she would go there.
Shoe store.
Yeah. Then I'd say he's a good suspect, but I haven't seen any evidence of that yet. Okay, so theory number 2. In general, maybe possibly serial killers in the region.
Okay.
Northern California was home to several known serial killers during the late 1990s. One theory suggests Karen may have fallen victim to an unknown predator who targeted vulnerable young women. Law enforcement has investigated possible links between Karen's disappearance and other unsolved cases in the area, but no concrete evidence has surfaced. Given the timing and location, Karen's cases were compared to other solved disappearances and murders in Northern California. Investigators looked into ties to known serial killers such as Cary Stayner, the Yosemite killer, who operated
He has a
in the
wild
region.
story. Do you know about his brother? So his brother is one of the boys, I can't remember his name, Jeremy, I think, went missing.
Oh, yes.
And was missing for 7 years. And then came back. And then his brother did all of this stuff.
Yes.
Wild story.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, Stayner's known victims did not match Karen's case, and no evidence placed him in Eureka during her disappearance. Similarly, connections to other transient predators were explored, including individuals with a history of abducting women. Despite these efforts, investigators have found no definitive matches. So another one that I kept seeing pop up was Wayne Adam Ford,
I've heard that name.
Also known as the truck stop killer. And he was a long-haul truck driver who confessed to murdering 4 women between 1997 and 1998.
Oh, geez. That's actually like a lot in a short amount of time.
Right? Ford walked into a California sheriff's office in 1998 carrying a severed breast in his pocket as evidence of his crimes.
Oh, my God.
His victims were mostly vulnerable women, including sex workers and hitchhikers whom he targeted during his trucking routes. Ford claimed remorse for his actions, which attributed to personal struggles, including a failed marriage and depression. He was convicted of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to death in 2006 and currently remains on death row in California. He denied any involvement in Karen's disappearance, and there has never been any evidence to definitively connect him.
Jeez.
And with that one, I'm also like, why would he confess to others but not that one?
Yes.
So that doesn't make sense.
Right. Like if you're going to confess to them and you feel remorse, you're going to probably confess to all of them.
Right. And he picks them up in a truck, not a car.
Right.
So.
Not a blue sedan.
Right. So some other theories is that it might just be a local offender. Some believe Karen may have been abducted by someone she knew or a local offender familiar with the area. Her route to the daycare center was well traveled, and it's possible her abductor took advantage of an opportunity in broad daylight.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the comments on Reddit from No Butterscotch 7847 said, I was close friends with her Aunt Debbie and remember Karen coming for a month to visit her mom the year before she went missing, and no doubt in my mind that she took a ride from someone that wasn't a complete stranger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Eureka PD had the resources to investigate and search door to door looking for Karen. I heard the uncle she was living with in Eureka was employed by the Eureka PD at the time she disappeared, but haven't confirmed that. I don't know. No one said that.
Yeah.
Final theory is a random act of violence. Another theory is that Karen's disappearance was a random act of violence, potentially by a transient or stranger passing through the area. Eureka's location along major highways made it accessible to people traveling long distances, increasing the likelihood of an opportunistic crime.
Right.
So, some of the forensics.
Ooh.
I know you like that stuff.
Yes, we do.
Even though there's not much. The forensic side of Karen Mitchell's case has faced significant hurdles due to the absence of a crime scene, physical evidence, or confirmed witnesses.
Right.
She's truly never been found.
Yeah.
However, over the years, advancements in forensic technology have offered hope that cold cases like Karen's might someday be solved. So, the initial forensic efforts. When Karen disappeared, investigators lacked the critical forensic tools that are available today. The case presented no clear crime scene. Karen vanished without leaving behind belongings, DNA, or other trace evidence. Investigators collected whatever information they could from potential witnesses and scoured the area for signs of struggle or discarded items, but nothing substantial was found. The vehicle described by a witness, a light blue sedan, was a promising lead, but police were unable to locate the car or connect it to a suspect. Without modern license plate tracking systems, tracing the vehicle proved impossible.
Right.
I don't even know if they know the
Yeah, if you
license.
just have like a blue sedan or whatever.
Right.
There were probably a ton of blue sedans.
Yeah. And I don't even know if the witness got the license plate.
Yeah. I mean, if they did, that would have helped a lot. But if they didn't, then,
Right.
they didn't.
In the decades since Karen's disappearance, advances in forensic science have transformed how investigators approach cold cases. Some of these developments have been applied to Karen's case or similar disappearances in hopes of finding new leads. So there's no DNA evidence that was recovered at the time of Karen's disappearance. Modern investigators often review old evidence in cold cases to check for overlooked biological material.
Mm-hmm.
In cases like Karen's, even the smallest trace, hair, skin cells, or fibers could now be analyzed for DNA.
Yeah, but it's like, how would they have gotten any of that?
Unfortunately, since no such evidence was found,
Right.
this avenue has been largely unavailable in Karen's case.
And like, especially if like she was just picked up on the side of the road, you can't go to the side of the road and see what you can find. The amount of people that pass there is
Exactly.
just too many.
Right. Authorities have also used missing persons databases such as CODIS, which stands for Combined DNA Index System, and NamUs, National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, to cross-check unidentified remains. Karen's DNA profiles believed to be in these databases, which are regularly updated as remains are discovered and tested across the country. Despite this, no matches to Karen have been found.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just not going to be possible.
She gone.
Yeah.
At least one witness reported seeing Karen with a man near the time of her disappearance, and police created a composite sketch based on the description provided, but the technology for improving and distributing sketches was limited in 1997. In more recent years, law enforcement have used facial recognition technology to revisit composite images of persons of interest. These tools allow investigators to compare sketches to existing photos in criminal databases, though this has not yet yielded results in Karen's case. I do think, I don't know if it mentions it, but I do think one of the pictures for her available is what she would look like now.
Oh, okay.
Just in case.
Because, yeah, she would have been 17 then, and then that was what, 27 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah.
Yeah.
Would be in her 40s.
Yeah. Forensic analysts today use geographic profiling software to predict where a victim or suspect may have traveled before or after a crime. Applied to Karen's case, such profiling could help pinpoint potential dumping sites or areas of interest based on witness accounts and Eureka's geographic layout. This approach has not led to any breakthroughs, but continues to be an avenue for investigation. In 1997, digital forensics was in its infancy, but today it plays a key role in solving cold cases. Had Karen owned a cell phone or had access to social media, investigators might have been able to trace her digital footprint. Modern investigators often examine metadata from devices to establish timelines, locate individuals, and connect suspects to victims. In Karen's case, the absence of such technology at the time has left a frustrating gap in the investigative process. In 2012, the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office announced plans to reevaluate Karen's case. Though officials did not disclose specific details, it is believed they reviewed evidence with the benefit of advancements in forensic technology, including trace evidence analysis, techniques such as gas chromatography and mass spectrometry can now identify chemical traces on evidence that might have been missed in earlier investigations, microscopic examination of fibers. If any fibers had been collected from the scene or suspects, modern testing could determine their origin with a higher degree of accuracy. Unfortunately, law enforcement has not reported any new discoveries from these efforts.
Right.
Advancements in forensic science continue to provide new hope for solving cold cases. If new evidence related to Karen's disappearance is discovered, these methods could prove invaluable. So, environmental DNA. This technique analyzes traces of DNA left in the environment, such as soil or water, to link individuals to specific locations. If Karen's case had a suspected scene of interest, this method might be employed. And then there's the genealogical DNA matching. Popularized in recent years, this technique uses DNA from unidentified remains or other evidence to build a family tree, potentially identifying both victims and suspects. Though Karen's DNA has not matched any unidentified remains, genealogical analysis remains an option if new evidence surfaces. So some of the challenges.
Well,
obviously.
it's a lot.
Despite these advances, Karen's case still faces obstacles that hinder forensic breakthroughs. The absence of a confirmed crime scene limits opportunities to gather evidence. Any potential evidence left in the open areas is likely degraded after decades of exposure to the elements. And given the tools available in 1997, it's possible that critical evidence was missed or not preserved for future analysis.
Yeah.
In conclusion, as forensic science continues to evolve, cold cases like Karen Mitchell's remain at the forefront of law enforcement priorities. Every single piece of new evidence, such as remains, belongings, or witness accounts, could benefit from today's powerful investigative tools. Karen's family and advocates remain hopeful that justice is still possible, as similar cold cases have been solved after decades thanks to modern forensics. If you have any information about Karen Mitchell's disappearance, please contact either the Eureka Police Department at 707-441-4044 or the Humboldt County District Attorney's Office, Investigator Mike Hislop, 707-441-4044.
We'll put this in the show notes as well.
Yes, absolutely. So that is the disappearance of Karen Mitchell.
I don't have much hope that one can be solved just with the lack of evidence, how long ago it was, where it happened.
Not unless they find a body.
Right.
And they have not found one. Even the other cases, like only 2 out of the 5 were remains found. And even then, one of them.
Only 2?
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of them, it was like a femur or something like that.
Ugh.
And like it wasn't a full body. Like I know the other one, maybe a skull was there. Because one, they couldn't even determine, it was a suspicious death, but they can't even officially rule it a homicide. But the other one, they could. I forget what they said it was. But yeah, those are the only 2 cases out of the 5.
Wow.
That confirm these people are actually dead.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Which does kind of make you want to link them a little bit more.
Right.
If that many people haven't been found. You know?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So there you go.
There you go.
What do you think?
I think probably the crime of opportunity with someone just kind of driving through.
Yeah.
Why? What do you think?
I don't, she seemed like, from what people said, she seemed like a very sensible person.
Right.
So I'm like, it definitely doesn't seem like she would just get in a car with a stranger.
It could be like someone you know, or when you're together. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or I mean, maybe at that time, if she's like nice, and someone's like, oh my God, I don't know how to get somewhere. Could you please give me directions? Oh yeah, of course. Like, I'll just hop in and show you where to go.
Yeah.
So I feel like back then that was definitely more of a thing.
That's true too. That's true too. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that one, unfortunately, I feel like we probably won't know.
I don't think she's alive,
Yeah, no, probably not.
but I think she was taken very far away.
Yeah.
So
Which is hard when you like don't even have like an area, because the United States is big.
It is a big place.
It could like anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's assuming that they went back east
Mm-hmm.
and not west and dumped her into the ocean.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So my hope is that because hopefully her DNA is in the systems, that if someone is found,
Yeah,
with no identity,
they can link it somehow.
they can at least link it somehow. So at the very least,
Mhm.
that part. Because I feel like when so much time has gone by, like you have that mentality of like, yeah, they're probably dead.
Mhm.
But without that confirmation, there's got to be just a little bit of hope
I
sitting in the back of
know.
their minds,
I know, probably.
which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Way to really lift us up.
Well, you knocked me so far down.
It was so fun.
I apologize to those who decide to listen to this episode in the morning
Or with headphones.
or with headphones. Apologize.
Well, we hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving, however you celebrate.
Yeah. Good food day. Good day for giving thanks.
Yeah.
And
Give us thanks by liking us everywhere and reviewing us.
heck yeah.
And we'll send you stickers.
Yes.
Reach out to us. Just say hi. We like it.
Yeah. We enjoy communicating with our listeners. It's
Yeah.
fun.
We actually love it.
Mhm.
So that's all we have.
I guess so.
So stay scary.
Stay safe.
Gobble, gobble.